You did everything right. That's what makes this one sting. You didn't gamble. You didn't buy the coin your friend texted you about. You built an emergency fund, exactly like every article told you to. 3 months of expenses. Then 6. Then, because 6 felt safer than 3, you kept going. You never actually decided to stop. That's the part nobody tells you about safety. It doesn't have a finish line. So it just keeps growing, quietly, in the background, while you feel like the responsible one at every dinner table you sit at. This is a story about that account. About the $200,000 it might already be costing you. And about the exact moment prepared turned into afraid without you noticing the difference. You are 26. You've just read that you should have 3 to 6 months of expenses saved before you invest a single dollar. Smart advice. Correct advice. You open a high-yield savings account and start moving $400 a month into it. By your second year, you have $9,600 sitting there. Your expenses run about $2,800 a month, so technically, you've hit your 6-month target already. Time to stop and start investing the rest. You don't stop. Because here's the thing nobody warns you about. Once you've built a cushion, the cushion starts to feel like the only thing standing between you and disaster. And disaster, if you think about it long enough, always seems a little bigger than 6 months away. You are 28. The account reads $19,000. You tell yourself it's for whatever comes next. A layoff, a health scare, a broken transmission, a recession you saw someone mention on the news. Your expenses haven't changed much. 6 months of them is still around $17,000. You've quietly built 2 years of runway and called it caution. A coworker asks what you're doing with your savings. You tell him it's sitting in a high-yield account earning 4%. He nods, impressed. Nobody at that table questions it. Cash in the bank is the one financial decision that never gets criticized. Nobody has ever been laughed at for having too much saved. That's exactly why it's so easy to keep doing. You are 30. The balance is $31,000. Somewhere in the last 2 years, you crossed a line you never marked. You are no longer saving for emergencies. You are saving because stopping feels like admitting the world might be less dangerous than you've been treating it. That's a hard thing to admit at 30, so you don't. You just keep adding. That same year, a friend puts $31,000 into a total market index fund instead. Same amount. Same starting point. He doesn't touch it. He forgets about it, mostly. You forget about your number too, but for a different reason. His forgetting is the kind that makes money. Yours is the kind that makes nothing. Let's pause here and do the math nobody does. $31,000 sitting in a savings account earning 4% becomes about $32,240 after 1 year. $31,000 invested in the market at a historical 10% average becomes about $34,100. The gap looks small. $1,860. Almost nothing. That's always how these gaps start. Small enough to ignore. That was the exact same trick the $5 played on the guy buying scratch tickets. It disappears either way. You just don't notice which direction. You are 35. The account is $58,000. Your actual 6-month emergency number, based on your real expenses, is about $21,000. You are carrying nearly $37,000 in pure excess. Money doing nothing but existing. Money you have convinced yourself is protection, when really, it's just fear with a routing number. Here's what that excess has actually cost you, sitting in cash instead of invested, over those 7 years. At a 6% difference in average annual return between savings and the market, that $37,000 gap, compounding quietly against you, has already cost you somewhere around $11,000 in growth you will never get back. Not lost money. Money that was never allowed to exist in the first place. You are 40. The balance is $94,000. You've never once dipped into it. Not for the car repair, you covered that out of your regular paycheck. Not for the dental surgery, insurance handled most of it, and you paid the rest without touching the account. In 14 years, you have used this emergency fund for exactly 0 emergencies. It has one job, and it has never done that job. Its only function has been to sit there and make you feel calm. Feeling calm is not nothing, but feeling calm has a price, and by now, the price is getting loud. If you had kept a true 6-month cushion, around $28,000 at your current expenses, and invested the other $66,000 back at 30, here's where that money would be sitting today, 10 years later, at a 9% average return. Roughly $156,000. Instead, it's sitting at $94,000, and most of that growth came from the deposits you kept adding, not from the money working for you. You are 45. The account reads $141,000. You've started reading articles about retirement now, the same way everyone does around this age. The math is starting to worry you. You do a projection. At your current pace, retiring at 65 looks tight, tighter than it should for someone who saved diligently for 20 years. You mention this to a financial advisor over coffee, expecting her to compliment your discipline. Instead, she asks a question that stays with you for a long time. Why do you have 3 years of expenses sitting in cash? You tell her it makes you feel safe. She tells you that safety has a cost, and you've been paying it for 2 decades without ever putting it on a bill. You are 50. This is the moment the whole story turns, so sit with it. If, back at 30, you had capped your emergency fund at 6 real months and invested everything past that point, the difference isn't small anymore. It isn't $1,860. It isn't $11,000. Run the full 20 years of that gap, compounding the whole way, and the number lands somewhere between $180,000 and $220,000. Money that existed. Money you earned. Money that sat in cash instead of the market for 2 decades, earning almost nothing, because stopping never felt like the responsible thing to do. That's the $200,000. It was never hiding in some bad investment or a market crash. It was hiding in the account you were proudest of. The one nobody at that dinner table ever questioned. Here's the part that's easy to miss. The emergency fund itself was never the mistake. 3 to 6 months of real expenses, sitting safely in cash, is one of the smartest things a person can build. That part of the story is still true. The mistake was never knowing where the fund was supposed to end. The mistake was letting fear set the number instead of math. You are 55. You've since fixed it. You capped your true emergency fund at 6 months and moved the rest into the market, later than you should have, but not too late to matter. The account is smaller now, on purpose, and for the first time it does exactly one job well instead of 2 jobs badly. You are 65. The gap never fully closes. That's the honest ending. The 15 years the excess money spent sitting still can't be unsat. But from the year you fixed it forward, the growth finally started compounding the way it should have all along, and the difference between fixing it at 50 and never fixing it at all is still worth more than most people earn in a decade. Somewhere right now, someone is opening their banking app and feeling proud of a number. 9 months of expenses. 12. 18. Nobody at their table will ever tell them it's too much, because too much cash has never once been criticized by anyone at any dinner table in history. They are not doing anything wrong. They are doing the responsible thing, the same responsible thing you did. The emergency fund was never the trap. The trap was never asking it to stop.